This is how it is going to go. We are going to have 7 days straight where we have picks that you can make with your chance to be BetTV's Betting Extraordinaire for a chance to win $25,000. If you get the first 3 questions right over the course of 3 days, you're going to win $250. If you get to day 5, you're going to win $2,500. And if you get through day 7, a week straight of correct picks, we're going to give you $25,000. No joke.
It's right. It's day 5. 25,000. 2 questions away for Paul. He's one of our regulars on Last Word Cheetah. He's worked his way up with the W last night in the Monday Night Football game. And we got a big NBA game tonight because Steph Curry, the greatest shooter of all time, will be eyeing Ray Allen's record for three-pointers made. He only needs to make 2 to break it. Some books had him, I think the most recent price we saw, minus 8,000 to get there. Probably going to happen. The question is when. So that's the 5-day question for Paul, or I should say day 5. That's today. $2,500 on the line. 2 questions from $25,000, which would be a record for anyone that's called in and played who wants to be a betting extraordinaire. So Paul, if he's on the line, we can wait for him to come on the line. He was on the line earlier. You told him to call back later. The question was a little confusing, and I'll be honest. We try to make him harder as the days progress. He's laddering up.
He's playing mind games with you.
He's got to figure it out. The question is, when is Steph going to break the record? In my eyes, it's interesting trying to navigate the thought process of Steve Kerr. Every year until this season, Steph used to play the entirety of the first and third quarters to a T, just no matter what. Now he's been pulling Steph with like 5 to 6 minutes left in the first quarter. But then he didn't do it the other night. He actually was going 9 minutes. Now, I don't know if it was because he was trying to see if Steph gets hot. Tonight he's in Madison Square Garden trying to get this record, get it done with, and they can focus on the game. Maybe Kerr leaves him out there longer than normal. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe he just comes out chucking. It doesn't matter. He gets it done. But the timetables, we talked about this a little bit at the end of Last Word Cheetah. When does Steph break the record? A, first quarter, 12-minute mark to the 8-minute mark. B is the rest of the first quarter, because he is going to rest, in my opinion. Kerr will probably just stick with the same rotation, but not certain. That's why there's a little extra equity there than maybe normal in case he just lets Steph hurry and get to 2, especially if he makes 1 early. If he comes back, though, second quarter, now he's, playing against some backups. You got 4 minutes there, and then you got the next 4 minutes mid-second quarter in case, takes him a while. He shoots 5 or 6 before he makes that second one. If it happens after that, that's the house W. That's what makes a day 5 question a little bit harder. It's a loser for Paul. Sorry, Paul. I couldn't give you a second half or something like that, and also couldn't make it too confusing. But Steph's gonna break it tonight. It's just a matter of which interval does he break it. So go ahead and put Paul through. You probably had a few minutes to think about this when I mentioned it. If you were listening at the end of Last Word Cheetah, we want to know when you think Steph breaks the record. And I give about 4-minute intervals plus a bigger one in the first quarter where he typically rests. Any thoughts, questions? He does have lifelines. I think we only do 2 lifelines on this show. I don't know where you got 3 from, Quan, but we only do 2.
Wheel. It became
Is Spin the Wheel a new lifeline now? Oh, I didn't even realize. Okay, we can spin the wheel. That's easy. That's just like I have no clue. Spin it. So, anyways, Paul, thoughts. Take your time. We can talk it through.
And I apologize. Could you tell me the choices one more time? I cut in or came in at the end. I didn't catch all the choices.
No problem. So A is the 12-minute mark to the 8-minute mark of the first quarter, first 4 minutes. B is the rest of the first quarter, because typically he rests the last 5 or so to 5.5 minutes of the first quarters and third quarters. The next interval is C is 12 to 8 of the second quarter. He typically comes back in to start second quarters. And then D is 7:59 to 4.
Gotcha. Okay. So what lifelines do I have available to me? Is it basically your opinion or going to Twitter? Is that
we can do a poll of Twitter, and you have to go with @tip whatever the majority vote is. You can just ask me what my vote is, but you don't have to go with it. You can decide to pick something else still. And then apparently we have a Wheel of Names spin. So we can do that too.
Part of me wants to say that, that they, get done with it quicker, and, he kind of tries for it pretty good for the first, 4 minutes, and then, of course, the other side is, I guess, I guess it's going to happen eventually or inevitably anyway. So, but I'm not sure, how motivated the Knicks would be to try to stop them. So, got to take that into account.
That's another thought. Like, what if they just foul him early? Like, they're just not going to let him shoot threes, let him go by for layups. They don't want to give up the record. I mean, it's possible. Yeah, there's something that could happen there. And
I'm not, too well versed in the NBA type stuff, but also with the the Warriors being on a back-to-back, how that affects his minutes as well, and so if that changes things up any at all, or if they just stick to the normal rotation even on the second day of a back-to-back. So. I don't know. I would like to at least hear what you think. I think I gathered earlier that you were thinking maybe it happens the first part of the second quarter. I don't know if I deduced that correctly, but I guess I would like to at least know what you're thinking.
So I think you're just going to go crazy and probably hate yourself if you start trying to guess what Steve Kerr is going to do. Since like the first 2 weeks of the season, he switched to Steph playing the first 6 to 7 minutes of the first and third quarters, resting the rest. Now, if there was ever a night, especially again if Steph hits one in the first couple minutes, he lets Steph just try to get to the record and play the entire first quarter or something, it probably would be tonight. But I also don't know why. Like, he has 48 minutes to break the record, so there's no need to really force it either. So I would just, my personal opinion would be, play it how it normally would happen, which is B's probably the least likely because he's only going to play about 2 to 3 minutes in that interval, assuming he rests like he typically would. Then from there, it's really tough because they're all the same amount of time, right? And it's all just kind of the luck of where it lands. I do think Steph will come out probably just trying to get it done and over with and shoot more in that first block. But also the argument could be made the Knicks are not going to let him do it and make it easy. They want him just to go take layups or something. So it makes it difficult. My guess is that on average, he's going to hit 2 or more after he takes, about 5 attempts would be like the mean amount to get to 2 or more. And he's not going to shoot 5 times in the first 4 minutes as frequently. So I'd probably eliminate A, and that's why I'd probably say C. But I will feel bad if Kerr plays him the whole first quarter and then he doesn't even play C, because there's like some negative downside there. But again, I kind of want to just throw out what will Kerr do, because then you're just going to go crazy. Let's go with this is how he's played Steph for the last 2 months and stick with that. So I would, yes, you were right. Your sense, of my option, I think C's the best one. Yeah, it's tough, man. It's a pretty good question. I won't lie. I don't like this one. Excuse me.
That's how
I don't mind saying that I like
this
one.
Going, yeah. And what you said about him sitting is obviously, what usually happens. But just like you said, you don't know if he changes things up tonight, or if, who knows, if someone gets in foul trouble, they have to put him back in, or, just as far as just the actual just minutes, that 8-minute block, that's a big 8. That's 8. That is 8 minutes. So you just don't. You can't. I guess we can't completely assume that he's going to be off the floor for, for 5 or 6 of those, I guess. But like I said, we don't know what Kerr's going to do.
You want to know what Quan thinks first before you make your answer? Usually we wait on Quan, but do you want to know what Quan thinks?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, right. I want his input.
All right, Quan, what would you pick if you had to make a pick?
So I looked in the chat also, and you might want to check out the greatest Who Wants to Be a Betting Extraordinaire player of all time.
Carlos?
His choice was he agreed with Preston. I think so. You got to factor in that the Warriors today just got in. They had plane issues last night, and they just flew in. They're probably gonna go through the warm up. I think it's going to be B. I think Kerr's probably going to start him off, get him a look early. But he's been saying that this has been like anxiety for him. Just like he came out the other day and said, I was thinking about the 16 threes and, it caused him some pressure. I think getting this out of the way quick will let him get into a flow. I'm going with B rest of the first quarter. And like historically, the last, I think, decade or so, role players have had so many great games in the Garden because they started off hot.
Yeah.
And that's going to come into account tonight. I think everybody's thinking, oh, well, they got off the plane late. They're not going through their normal warm-up routine. They haven't had time to do their rehab or whatever they need to do to get ready for the game. I think this record is going to go down tonight, and I think it's going to happen not that quickly, but quick enough. I think Kerr leaves them out there just to get it out the way, and that's what it's going to be for me. I think it's B. I don't think it lasts until the second quarter. I think pretty easily it's going to be rest of first quarter. So that eliminates your chance to pick B. Although I am right on this show.
Occasionally.
Yeah.
All right, Paul.
Okay.
I believe they say, what is
your
your final answer?
Yeah. And I will, and I will give that for sure.
Sure.
But I'll also say I looked at the play-by-play yesterday, which is a little different circumstance, but I don't think he even attempted a three-pointer like the first 4 minutes of the game yesterday. So, but again, that
Matisse
might be
Thybulle effect. I kind of talked about that on the show last hour, where everyone was talking about how Steph couldn't even get threes off because Thybulle was so good, and then Rajah Bell made the comment on the podcast this morning. Believe me, it's easy to defend Steph when you know all he's doing is trying to shoot a three. So it's one of those things where it comes back down to how are the Knicks going to defend him, because it's possible that they're just like up in his grill. We're not going to let him shoot any threes. We don't want him to do it here at Madison Square Garden. They also might appreciate the pub of Steph breaking the record at home and just say, go out and play like normal. It's so hard to measure all this stuff. It just gives you a headache, and you're going to be so mad if you think that it has a ton of weight, I think, after the fact, trying to figure out what Kerr does or figure out how the Knicks defend him. It just, I guess that's why I like the question so much, though, too.
And I'm sorry, you said, or Quan said that Carlos was going to citing the C as well, the first 4 minutes of the second quarter. Is that
Carlos picked C?
Is that correct?
Chat.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. We'll go C.
Whew.
C.
All right. So a little bit of pressure on me now, too. That's okay. I've told plenty of people to make bets over the course of my life, and I can handle it if it loses, but I'm rooting for you, Paul. Oh, it's going to be fun sweat. It's a fun sweat. It's interesting because if he makes one like a minute in, you're going to be like, oh, no, I lost. Like, because now every three that goes up after that, you're thinking if it goes in, you're dead. Yeah, this is a good sweat. It'll be fun. Hey, Paul, thanks for playing along.
My very first thought was going with A, and just that was my very first thought. Just don't even just go with A, and not even have to worry about the sweat, but got to give it some thought and use some logic. So we'll see what happens, but I appreciate it.
No problem, man. Good luck tonight. We will talk to you hopefully tomorrow for day 6 and a shot at 25K in 2 days. Take care, man.
Yep. Take care. Thanks. Bye.
So what I had actually told Quan before we were trying to put the question together. It took a few minutes to get it together. If you did 12 minutes to 9, I thought 12 to 8 would be the one he'd pick. It just seems too odd, like, oh, Steph's going to come out shooting. But he'd actually looked. He's like, he didn't even attempt one against Philly. So it was kind of like interesting. He picked up on that. But 12 to 8 seems like, oh, it's going to happen right away. He's just going to make his 2. 12 to 9, you wouldn't do it at all.
No.
So I almost did 12 to like 8:15 or 8:30. And I was like, you know what? Let's just go 4-minute intervals. It's also easier to digest visually on the screen than 12 to 8:15. And then another weird one and another weird one that overlaps from end of first to. So it's good. But I did think he was going to pick A.
I think I said that too.
Yeah. No, we both thought if we did 12 to 8, it would look too juicy.
Yeah.
And everyone likes to root for overs, right? And like root for the players to do good things. And the psychology, I was like, I'll have to go with that if we do 12 to 8. I talked him out of it, I think, with my view. I think B is, you just assume Kerr plays it how he normally does. B is the one that you can't pick. And so that's what Quan picked, obviously. So there you go. We will see who's right. We'll be back hopefully tomorrow. I'll update everyone on my kid's health, but hopefully he's good. And I will be here in studio, ready to roll. The Bets TV studio, that is. Thank you, Quan. Thanks to everyone else. Good luck tonight, Paul. And we will talk to you guys later.